Stephen A. Cut the damn music. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do every weekday afternoon over the airwaves of ESPN Radio. That's 98.7 FM in New York City. That's 710 ESPN in L.A. That's Sirius XM ESPN Radio, Channel 80. Number to call up as always is 866-729-3776. That's 866-729-ESPN. You know, we got a lot of stuff to get into today. Jimbo Fisher, head coach for the Florida State Seminoles, is coming up. 30 minutes past the hour. Looking forward to talking to him. They should have a good team this year. Obviously, the Dallas Cowboys are making news. We'll definitely be talking about that. But the number one story percolating is still Kyrie Irving and LeBron James. You know, I'm going to say something here. I'm going to openly confess to you that what I'm about to say, it's personal. It's personal. One of the things that I pride myself in doing is that, you know, you're objective in pursuit of the facts. But once you acquire the facts and you disseminate it to the masses, you can be subjective in your opinion about those things. And you move forward from there. I want everybody to know that I have the greatest respect in the world for LeBron James. Not just because he's a champion. Not just because he's been to 7 consecutive NBA finals. Not just because he is the quintessential superstar of the modern day era and the closest thing to perfection as a superstar that I have ever seen. In terms of him being a role model, his philanthropy, his charitable donations, his leadership, and so on and so forth. But nobody's perfect. And sometimes LeBron James gets on my last nerves. And within the last couple of hours, he most certainly has. And I'll be the first to say to you, you better understand something. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not just applicable to me. It's applicable to the great Adrian Wojnarowski, Mark Stein, the Rick Bukers of the world, the David Aldridges of the world, the Mark Spears of the world, the Chris Broussards of the world, and so on and so forth. What I'm about to say is applicable to all of them. We never report everything we know. Contrary to what some of you out there would believe, we do exercise decorum and professionalism. And we do make a concerted effort to try to quell whatever biases may exist inside of us as human beings. But I got to tell y'all, there are some moments when a professional athlete literally tempts you to go nuclear on them. And I stand here before you today, right in that zone when it comes to LeBron James. Ladies and gentlemen, LeBron James sent out a tweet about me responding to Slam magazine, talking about not facts, people, boo, get another source. He's talking about me. He's talking about what I reported. And what I reported was that if LeBron James was in front of Kyrie Irving, I was told, quote, he would be tempted to whoop his ass. Excuse my language, it's Walt Disney Airwaves, but that's a quote. That's what was told to me. I did not speculate. I did not put that out there. It was told to me. Verbatim. In that manner. Tempted. Now, in defense of LeBron James, let's walk this back a little bit because people have gotten beside themselves. LeBron James has always exercised class. He's always exercised professionalism. He's a businessman, and rambunctious or contentious or irresponsible behavior doesn't ingratiate himself to the businesses that he represents. He's not going to hit Kyrie. He's not going to get into a fight with Kyrie. It wasn't meant to be taken literally. It was meant to highlight his level of frustration with what he perceives to be something that Kyrie Irving is doing in his eyes, which is to say he believes that Kyrie Irving, who is a big-time talent and, as far as I'm concerned, a superstar in his own right, who is a champion, wants to leave, and that should have been that, rather than Kyrie Irving trying to make his departure about LeBron James because it makes LeBron James look bad, and LeBron James feels betrayed. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not speculating. That is what was told to me by confidants LeBron James spits out there. See, my name's not some of the people that LeBron James sits down and interviews with. I won't mention any names because I'm not trying to cast any aspersions on them. They're my colleagues, and I respect the hell out of them. And more power to them if they could get LeBron James to sit down with him. I understand he don't want to sit down with me. Fine. I could care less. But let's be clear. LeBron James likes comfort. And let's just say I don't make him too comfortable. Why? Because my ultimate issue is fairness. See, we could take sides all we want to about what's Kyrie doing and is he wise to do this, that, or the other. People need to understand something here. Kyrie Irving is not some dude who does not care about winning. Kyrie Irving is not some dude who believes he's going to lose if he doesn't have LeBron. Kyrie Irving believes he's a franchise caliber player who will win whether he has LeBron or not. And he believes he has elevated and graduated his game to such a degree that it is more than apropos for him to look for greener pastures beyond Cleveland. He believes he's worthy of being the face of a franchise. One of his mentors is Kobe. And we knew how interested Kobe was in being somebody's sidekick or perceived as somebody's little brother. That's Kyrie Irving. And also Kyrie Irving, in his mind, according to his people, is not trying to malign or insult LeBron James by any turn. And matter of fact, they're extending credit to LeBron James because, as Adrian Wojnarowski pointed out in his column on ESPN.com over the weekend, it's LeBron who these stars have to thank for the business acumen that they're exercising by empowering themselves and putting themselves in position to take control of their own careers. LeBron is the one that instigated and initiated and provoked all of that. Kevin Durant spoke about it before. Dwayne Wade spoke about it before. Chris Paul spoke about it before. And now Kyrie Irving is doing the same. So Kyrie Irving, according to his camp, is saying, what's the problem? LeBron, on the other hand, is saying, excuse me, this narrative that's out there painting me in a bad light just because you want your own franchise is unfair to me, your brother and your teammate who's always been there for you. There's two separate sides. What did I say that was fake? What did I say that was fake news? And even if that were the case, why is it that LeBron James always has this penchant to say something like that about me? Was I wrong when I broke the story that he was going to South Beach? Was I wrong when I talked about how I'm hearing he's going back to Cleveland? I just refused to believe it because who the hell would want to leave South Beach? But I am hearing he's going back to Cleveland. What if I got into the real story about what happened with LeBron James against Boston the year before or that spring when he finally decided to leave Cleveland and take his talents to South Beach? But we don't want to get into that. See, what makes LeBron look bad, the same LeBron that doesn't want to comment about Kyrie, the same LeBron that's in the offseason and didn't want to talk to the media, made sure to talk to Slam, didn't you? You made sure to take a shot at reporters, didn't you? On Twitter and Instagram. Ladies and gentlemen, LeBron James has access to my number. If it was almost any other superstar in the league, I'd have heard from them. they'd have called me directly. I'm not bragging, but I got it like that. Two people, two are different. LeBron James and a couple of years ago, KD. Let's get to LeBron James. For any negative quote that y'all want to point out about me, about LeBron James, I could point out 99 quotes that have come out of my mouth that have been nothing but positive about this man. About him, his family. He is a man. He is a player. He is a leader. He is a winner, etc. If LeBron James had a problem, it's because, ladies and gentlemen, he still hasn't gotten over me calling him out about Dallas. When he had 8 points in an NBA Finals game being guarded by the likes of Jason Terry and J.J. Barea and didn't want to shoot the ball. That's his problem. Kevin Durant's problem with me. Oh, what did I do? What is this crime that I committed? You know what it was, ladies and gentlemen? 2 years ago, I said KD's thinking about leaving OKC. He was out there filming a commercial in L.A., and I'm hearing, whether it's L.A. or someplace else, things might not work out in OKC. He's thinking about leaving. Not only did he say I was wrong, he said, I don't talk to Stephen A. My family don't talk to Stephen A. My friends don't talk to Stephen A. Mama's on the show. Brother coming up to tour at ESPN. He chilling out with me months earlier at 40-40, but he never talked to me. LeBron James, you in Dallas, stinking up the joint during the NBA Finals. You openly admitted you stunk up the joint and how that was a growing experience for you and how that enabled you to ultimately become a champion. But because I had the temerity, the unmitigated gall to point out something you did in front of 50 million people, you all caught up in your feelings. And this is the same LeBron James that wants us to believe that his feelings really are of no consequence with this whole Kyrie Irving situation. Stephen A. points out what you did in front of 50 to 100 million people by stinking up the joint in your NBA Finals series against Dallas. You ain't get over that. Oh, but Kyrie Irving saying he don't want to play with the Cavaliers anymore. And this narrative about you not being happy about that suddenly is fake news. This is after people close to you, who you sign on to speak on your behalf, reach out to yours truly. And now it's fake news. Really, LeBron? Really? Y'all go ahead and talk to LeBron James all y'all want to. I'm going to watch this great, iconic athlete, one of the greatest we have ever seen, arguably the greatest athlete we have ever seen, who is a phenomenal player, father, husband, philanthropist, and man. I will continue to watch him to do his business. But I have nothing more to say in regards to this particular subject, but this and this only. What I quoted somebody as saying, I stand by. The facts that I've accumulated by speaking to over 30 different sources this weekend, I stand by. I'm not budging or inching back one bit. I said what I meant. I meant what I said. And if LeBron James wants to refute that, I welcome the opportunity for him to do so. I can't wait. Gives me more an excuse to go in even deeper. Kyrie Irving. Say what you want about him. The brother's a big-time ball player. He can ball. He's a champion. And the one thing that stood out with me about him is that he says, meaning his camp says, we had a private meeting. We promised Cleveland we wouldn't divulge a thing, and we never did. It came from somewhere. LeBron James' side emphatically denies that it came from them. Where's the fake news? Where is it? Don't hide behind 40 characters, LeBron. Speak. Rachel Nichols is on the way and waiting for you. So is Brian Windhorst. Talk to any of them. Love to hear your response to that. Where's the fake news? 866-729-ESPN is the number to call up. That's 866-729-3776. Jimbo Fisher up in 13 minutes, but not before I get back to you in a second. It's Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
This is Stephen A. Smith here. When it comes to our cars, one thing is almost certain. Something at some time is going to break down, and if your vehicle warranty is expired, one big repair can break your bank. There are auto protection plans out, but one stands alone. Toco Warranty. With Toco, you don't pay upfront fees for service you may never use. Toco makes protecting your car easy with their pay-as-you-go plan. Just pay a small amount each month and keep the protection for as long as you like. With Toco, there's no long-term contract, no upfront fees, and you can cancel at any time. So get peace of mind, please, knowing you are protected with coverage plans on the engine, electrical, transmission, cooling system, drive axle, and more. Plus, enjoy the benefits of roadside assistance and paid rental car fees. Toco's special concierge service guides you through the entire process from sales to claims to customer service, all under one roof. So don't risk being grounded by auto repairs you can't afford. See if you qualify for Toco at 800-211-2884. That's 800-211-2884. That's 800-211-2884. Once again, I want to reiterate to just sort of walk back things. And I'm going to get into it from this perspective. I think it's a black-white perspective to things. Yes, it's absolutely true that I was told if LeBron James was in front of Kyrie's face right now, he'd be tempted to whip his ass. End quote. It's not me speaking. It's a quote. But the flip side to it is that I understood. And most black folks understand. It's not to be taken literally. LeBron James is a businessman. He's damn near a billionaire. He represents Nike and Sprite and a host of other companies. His business ventures expand far and wide. He's not about to do anything stupid that would sully his reputation to such a degree. He would never do that. Wasn't to be taken literally. When people on the air, I really hope that it doesn't regress to violence. Will you stop it? I mean, is everybody a damn fool these days? Well, LeBron James looking like hitting Kyrie Irving. It's not going to happen. He wouldn't do that. And Kyrie wouldn't allow it. Like everybody needs to pump the brakes and calm down. That would not happen. Nobody was trying to say that LeBron James would do that literally. That's metaphorically speaking. He's that upset. Yes, it was a quote. Yes, I was accurate in a quote that was given to me. But under no circumstances did I believe for 1 second that LeBron literally would put his hands on another man over such a situation. It was just somebody speaking about how upset LeBron was because he felt betrayed by the narrative that has been out there. Because he felt that Kyrie, or feels that Kyrie, could do something to avoid it. In response, Kyrie's camp is like, wait a minute. We didn't do anything. Kyrie is looking to move on. He believes he's talented enough to be the face of a franchise. That's what he wants to do. He's a champion, too. And he's a closer. And he shouldn't have to defer to anybody, particularly an individual who isn't even sure he's going to be in that city next summer. By the way, Kyrie didn't learn that on his own. LeBron taught us that. Because LeBron has encouraged all of us not just to be athletes, but to be businessmen. It's a compliment to LeBron, not an insult. Those are the two things that exist here. The dichotomy in the opinions in terms of what's being disseminated. That's all. That's it. But if LeBron wasn't so caught up in his feelings, he wouldn't feel the need to imitate President Trump by trying to call something fake news. I'll tell you what's really fake. You playing 45 minutes and 43 seconds in Game 4 of an NBA Finals with the likes of J.J. Barea and Jason Terry on you 6 years ago, scoring just 8 points on 3 of 11 shooting, and still haven't gotten over the fact that you was called out about it. But I guess that's fake too, huh? Let us not believe what our eyes see or saw, because that's certainly not the great LeBron James now. Back then, different story. Jimbo Fisher, head football coach for the Florida State Seminoles, up next with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Guess what?
You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it!
33 minutes past hour number 1 back here on the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. My honor and privilege to have my next guest on the line with me right now. He's the head coach for the Florida State Seminoles, national champion head coach, 2013. Jameis Winston is his quarterback. I'm talking about the one and only Jimbo Fisher is on the line with yours truly right now. Coach, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good, Stephen A. How are you, buddy?
Hey, man, it's always good talking to you, first of all. Wanted to say that. Secondly, I'm looking at your roster right now. Got a lot of talent. I believe in you. There's no question. I expect y'all to be good. But you're opening the season in Atlanta, the new Mercedes-Benz Dome, against Roll Tide, baby, Alabama and Nick Saban. Talk to me about that and why you agreed to open your season with that kind of game.
Well, at the time, I mean, you know, you're getting into this college football playoff world, and you go to these big games, the venues, at the neutral sites when you go play them, and it's the first time your kids ever walk in because you're at a home and everything else. This is one way to create the atmosphere, the environment, the drama, and all the clutter that those kids have to learn to deal with to play in those kind of atmospheres. I think the more times you put your team in it, the better they are, and I think it's a great way to start the season. And now people are calling this the greatest opening game in college football history with the rankings and all that. We'll find out about that, but at the same time, it just creates that atmosphere, and we're the 2 winningest teams in the country in the last 7 years, so I think it's a great way to open up.
Coach, I know that you try to think positive and whatever, but I also think successful coaches entertain worst-case scenarios and prepare themselves accordingly. And so I'm asking you this question with that thought process in mind. If you are going to have a loss on your schedule because of this new age that you say, the college football playoffs, are you one of those guys that believe if you're going to lose, the earlier you lose, the better?
I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, I think they say that's not as true, but I do think that is a product of the way we vote, look at things, playoffs, whatever it may be. And it also gives you a great chance to find out about your football team early and really find out, you know, because sometimes you have a false pretense about your team if you're having a lot of success and haven't played big teams. You find out early and you things you got to fix and work on.
We're talking to Jimbo Fisher, head coach of Florida State Seminoles, right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. You were quoted recently that you made life, quote-unquote, hell for players at spring practice, even calling yourself a, quote-unquote, a-hole. Now, I'm wondering, why did you say that about yourself? What were you doing to these players, Coach?
Well,
what were you doing to them?
Making them respond to coaching and competition and toughness. Because, listen, we're in the – I call it – here's how far back I'm bad on this stuff. I call it Nintendo syndrome. But you know what I mean. When things don't go right, you hit the restart button. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
and put
right.
these kids in – and that's our society. Well, if it doesn't go well, I take my ball and go home. I don't compete. Putting those kids in adverse situations, playing with toughness, learning to play the next play, learning to fight your way back, once you're ahead, learning to sustain, but teaching them how to compete. And I think that's one of the things that we've lost in our society today. We're in a combine world. We got kids when they're in the 8th grade. They're the greatest things in the world, the 9th grade, the 10th grade, and they forget about one thing. I mean, at the end of the day, when they put that ball in and they put it down, it's 0-0, whatever sport you're playing. And you got to earn it every day, and you got to learn to compete, whether you're on the good days, it's great. But what are you doing on your bad days? How do you get out? Just like we saw Spieth win the British Open the other day.
Yeah.
He had 4 bogeys and all of a sudden say, you know what, I need to get out. Nobody in history has ever done that. And teaching your kids how to compete and play in those situations. And I think in today's society, the way we are as a society, I think that's more critical than ever.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because, Coach, maybe you felt this way before, but I've never seen those quotes associated with you as it pertained to a particular spring practice or whatever the case may be. So I guess I'm asking that question. Is there something that you're seeing now? that you didn't see a year ago, that you didn't see 5 years ago or 3 years ago? Is there something that's percolating that's going on, whether it's in college football specifically or in society overall, that you haven't seen before that has you very concerned?
I think it's both, and I think I saw it early in our team last year when we had some tight games, some tight situations get away from us. And we all, when you have whether you win or lose, they're all learning experiences and what you have to gain from them. And I said, listen, I never want that to happen again. And I think if your mental toughness, your competitive nature, and understanding how to process things and move to the next play will enhance, I think that will help eliminate those situations that we went through. And that was one of my things that I wanted to go into and make sure we fixed.
Coach Fisher for Florida State right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. You lost a guy, somebody special. Rushed for 4,464 yards and 46 touchdowns the last 3 seasons with 3 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. I'm talking about Mr. Dalvin Cook. How you going to replace him?
Well, I don't know. I mean, how do we ever replace Deion Sanders? How do you ever replace Derek Brooks? I mean, you don't ever replace them, but what they have done for you and the way I look at things, just like Jameis Winston, they set a standard of how they played. Now it's the next guy's job to reach that plateau. You don't know if you ever replace them and how they do it, but somebody's going to rise up and find that competition level within themselves of greatness that they want to be thought of just like Dalvin or Jameis or Charlie Ward or Deion or Derek Brooks or whoever it may be, Warwick Dunn. And they set that standard, and that's one of the great things at Florida State. The next guy has the ability to climb to that. I'm not sure who it is. We'll find out when practice starts, but I think we got some great candidates.
What about at your quarterback position, DeAndre Francois? I mean, he looked pretty good last year. He's going to be a redshirt sophomore now. You got to retool that offensive line, obviously, after losing Roderick Johnson. But at the same time, I'm wondering, what's your belief in him? What have you seen in him? Who does he remind you of?
He's very unique in his own way. And what I love about him, the toughness, the competitiveness. Listen, those guys know this guy's going to take bullets for us. He's going to stand in there, do what he has to do for us to win. And I think when your quarterback's tough, your team's tough. And here's the other thing. When they know this, the last-minute drives that he made last year, he had 5 of them to score within the last 2 minutes. And even not just your offense, how hard they're going to play, that defense. Say, you know what, guys? Let's go do whatever. We got to get that ball back. We're going to find a way to – if we get it back to DeAndre's hands, if he touches it enough times, we're going to be successful. And I think he creates that excitement about it, about our team, and our guys have enough confidence in him. And he has shown that through the offseason, his work, his workouts, the way he's progressed as a player and everything, and they love him, and I think they'll play. I think the whole team will play hard for him.
You had a guy in DeMarcus Walker on the defensive side of the ball who had 16 sacks for you. He's gone now, but your defense ranked 44th in the FBS. You allowed 25 points per game. How are you going to alleviate that? How are you going to make things better in that regard?
Well, I think the last half of the season we did that, and I think we had a lot of experience. I think the experience up front with Derek Nottie, Brian Burns had 9.5 as a freshman. Josh Sweat up front. DeMarcus Christmas. Matthew Thomas is really merging back into play, and Henry Derrick. And then you get a guy back named Derwin James that is not a bad player that I think is really going to enhance some things. Trey Marshall. And then you had McFadden who led to – you go back and look at those last 6 to 8 games where we really took a lot of progress in the way we played, and I'm really anxious to watch us go play this year. I am. I think our defense has a chance to be a very, very good defensive football team.
Derwin James, you brought him up, Coach. How's that knee injury?
It's been great. He's been full speed, and biggest thing for him, I'm telling him, slow down. You can't play a whole season in one game. He wants to play so bad, but he's ready. He's physically ready. He's mentally ready. He's been in the office, coming and talking and about leadership and wanting to win a championship and things he can do to help the guys around the team. Coach, what do you think that I could do more to get guys to do this? I mean, I really like his demeanor and where he's at right now.
You also quoted Jimbo Fisher as saying that the ACC, not the SEC, is the best conference in college football. Some would disagree with that, obviously, because they're thinking about the SEC and Alabama. Explain yourself, Coach. Why do you feel so adamant that the ACC is the best conference in college football?
When you go top to bottom, first of all, look at the last 4 to 5 years. We've had 2 national championships. We've played 3 out of 4. 2 Heisman winners, the head-to-head matchups with all the other conferences across the country. And I think they're all good. I think college football has such parity now, it's crazy. But I think the ACC is playing over the influx of coaches coming into the ACC now. And then you go back in the last 5 years, 8-3 in either playoff games or major New Year's 6-day games, the ACC's record. So when you do all those things, listen, I'm not down in any league. I think I coached in the SEC for 13 years. Alabama is a tremendous university, tremendous team. We're the 2 winningest teams, Alabama and us, in the last 7 years. But at the same time, I think the credit from our coaches, our players, and the commitment that the ACC has made to football, I think right now we're playing as good a football as anybody.
Jimbo Fisher right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Coach, before I let you get on out of here, I mean, you spoke a little bit about the contribution former players make. One of the things I like when I watch a program, I see those former players on that sideline. Oh, yeah. Derek Brooks stands out in your mind. Prime time is going to wear Florida State Seminole all day long. We all know that. Well, what kind of contribution have these guys made to your program, and how much of their presence do you attribute to your success there?
I think it's big because, listen, people want to go to places that have traditionally had historic places that have won and why you've won. And when all those guys come back, all the way back even to Ron Simmons, back when Coach Bowden started those great Orange Bowl teams, and you go all the way through the 80s and 90s, that there's nobody had any better players than we have, and it's a great tradition. We have different venues that they come back to in the spring. A lot of them come to our camps and work in the summer on their own just to come back and give back and want to be around the players in the program. We have them on sidelines during the game. We bring so many back a game. I think it's a huge part. Who wants to be the next Deion Sanders or Terrell Buckley or Leroy Butler or Derek Brooks, Marvin Jones, Charlie Ward, Chris Wink, you name it, Warwick Dunn. I mean, you go down the line, and all the guys we've had, Jameis and Devontae Freeman and all the guys that we've had here, I mean, they want to do that. And I think tradition and history says that success is possible in the past, and you can be one of these great legends too. And I think they want it. Those guys want their legacy leaving back is for the next generation to keep pushing it. And I think it's a combination of us wanting them wanting us, and I think it's one of the great things that make Florida State, Florida State.
Last question for you. How's Jameis Winston going to do this year, especially now that he's got O.J. Howard out of Alabama?
Jameis
Big time.
I think Jameis is phenomenal. I love him and everything about him. But listen, when you're around that guy, I know you guys have the infectious personality, the commitment to winning, the desire, the competitiveness. There's nobody any greater. And this guy was going to be in that league a long time and be a great player. And I expect them to, I don't want to put pressure, but they're going to push and move forward. Him getting Deshaun Watson, being able to take the top off now with Big Mike underneath, I expect them to do some great things.
I got news for you, sir. You ain't too shabby yourself. 78-17 in your 7 years in Florida State. 5 bowl victories in 7 years plus a national title. Jimbo Fisher, head coach for Florida State Seminoles. Always appreciate your time, buddy. Looking forward to seeing you. I might show up to that game against Alabama. I might show up down there, Coach.
Come on down the sideline. You stand with the guys.
I appreciate you, Coach. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Stephen A.
Take it easy. The one and only Jimbo Fisher, head coach of Florida State, right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio 866-729-ESPN. Is always the number to call up. That's 866-729-3776. Say what you want, but the man has an impeccable resume. It's big time, no question about it. Interesting to see. It's going to be real interesting to see that game. Florida State versus Alabama. Both going to be ready for that one. It's going to be interesting. But what I love about it is that as long as they both show up and play competitive enough, nobody gets blown out or annihilated, still and all, you might see them down the road. You just never know. More of the Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio in a minute.
You're listening to Love Advice with Leanne. Caller, you're on the air.
Hi, Leanne. Longtime listener, first-time caller. Why, in your professional opinion, do you never take my calls off the air?
Is this Carl?
Yep, it's Carl. I mean, we had a few dates. Everything was great. I thought,
Well, when you switch to Geico, you could save a lot of money on car insurance.
Okay, awesome.
You should call them.
I will.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
10 minutes before hour number 2 back here on the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. We all need to take a moment to pause just for a second and give our heartfelt apologies to now former Dallas Cowboy wide receiver Lucky Whitehead. Evidently, he's not that lucky. Remember he was in the news yesterday, essentially being accused of committing robbery? Well, it turns out that it was a mistaken identity. The Dallas Cowboys they cut this man. They cut him. People, myself included. It was an aside to me. It was laughable because I just found myself saying it never fails. The Dallas Cowboys, they won't let you down. They'll always end up in the news for something. Somebody will do something stupid. That's not applicable to Lucky Whitehead. According to the police, confirmed by our very own Adam Schefter, it's a case of mistaken identity. Lucky Whitehead is innocent. He didn't do what he was accused of doing. It wasn't him. And because of that, he's out of a job, looking for a new one. Dallas Cowboys prematurely jumped. We all did, not just the Dallas Cowboys, but damn. They've allowed, have you seen them holding on to Ezekiel Elliott? Jerry Jones coming to his defense. I've seen nothing that indicates domestic violence based off of the accusations from Ezekiel Elliott's former girlfriend. NFL has been investigating over a year. Ezekiel Elliott plays on. Lucky Whitehead gets falsely accused. Before he's got a chance to pass gas, he gets cut. Pretty harsh, wouldn't you say? Pretty harsh. But forget about Dallas. We got to hold our own selves accountable. The fact of the matter is we went by the reports, and it turns out it was a case of mistaken identity. Rare that you hear about that happening, but that clearly was applicable in this particular case. It is what it is. Very, very unfortunate. I'll tell you something else, even more unfortunate. This ongoing investigation for Ezekiel Elliott. Ladies and gentlemen, anybody that commits domestic violence deserves to pay the price. Plain and simple. But this man hasn't been arrested, hasn't been tried, hasn't been convicted. He's been playing games for the Dallas Cowboys for the last year. And the NFL still is investigating the case, allowing it to drag on and be in the media. That is not fair to Ezekiel Elliott. I'll make fun of the Cowboys on the field all day long, or them stupidly finding themselves in trouble all day long, because I do believe they're an accident waiting to happen. I despise their fan base, the worst, most nauseating, delusional fan base in American history. But the Cowboys themselves as a team, as an organization, I can make fun of them too. Ezekiel Elliott does not deserve this. Get him in trouble, suspend him, or let it go. But to allow it to just drag on with his name dangling in the wind is egregious and cruel, especially on the part of the NFL. Hour number 2 up next with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM Channel 80 and the ESPN app.